Our lesson today takes place in the temple. And now in Jesus' day, the temple was located in Jerusalem. Here, as a matter of fact, is a picture of the temple. I want to show you if this works. Let's see. Okay. So what you see here is you see this wall here. This was known as the Gentile wall. And then this area out here, this is the outer court. This was the women's courtyard. And then this big thing, this is the Holy of Holies. That's where the Ark of the Covenant was kept. There was a big curtain inside of here. And then behind that curtain, about halfway in there, and behind that curtain sat the Ark of the Covenant. Well, this area all out in here is a big courtyard area. If we go to the next slide, please. You can see this wall right here. If you go to Jerusalem today, what you're looking at is a model. It's not there. The temple is gone. It was destroyed about 30 years after Jesus died. This wall that went around the outside of it, that's all that's left today. If you go today, you'll see that, and it's known as the Wailing Wall, just a piece of that that's left. So our story today takes up inside the temple, inside here. In this area here is where Pastor Cameron said that they would give the offerings. So Jesus is there in the temple. And that brings us to our story for today. If you all would please rise for the reading of today's word, and please stand. This is going to be in this is in Mark chapter 12, verse 41. Mark chapter 12, verse 41 through 44. It's known as the widow's offering. So, the Bible says, Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put and watched the crowd putting their money into the temple treasury. Many rich people there threw large amounts in, but a poor widow came and put 2 very small copper coins worth only a few cents. Calling his disciples to him, Jesus said, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth, but she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all that she had to live on." You may be seated. Thank you. You know, here at Crossroads, we have these little black boxes that sit around for giving. I don't know if you've ever noticed that or not, but they don't pass around a tray in church. We have these little boxes. And whenever you get one of these little pink cards, it looks like this, you can put your money in the card, and then you can drop that into a black box, and they're located all throughout the church. And that's how we give here at church. Well, back in Jesus' days, they went to the temple, and they had an offering plate also where they gave there as well. And so, let's take a look at that verse 41, and I'm going to read this to you. It said that Jesus sat down opposite the place where the offerings were put, and he watched the crowd put their money in to the temple treasury. Many rich people threw in large amounts of money. You see, these rich people, they would walk up and they would throw in large amounts of money, but they were giving for the wrong reasons. You see, some people, they gave for the right reasons. They gave so that they would honor God because God wants them to give. But there were a lot of people there who were just giving so that others could see them give. And that brings us to our first point that Jesus was trying to make today. And that is, don't put on an act. You see, the rich people, they did give a lot of money, but they were giving it not because they wanted to honor the Lord, but rather because they wanted people to see them give. That they wanted to impress their friends and make people think that they were right with God by how much money they give. They would walk up to these offering trays and back then, some of the rich people, especially the Pharisees, that they would wear fancy hats and they would wave flags and they would come up blowing trumpets. As a matter of fact, they'd have fancy hats on and they would wave flags, and there would be an offering tray there, something kind of like this, and it would sit there and it would come up going. Look at me, I'm giving money, and they would come up and they would have handfuls of money and they would give like that. Did you hear that? Crazy, right? Well, now, let's take a look back at our true story for just a minute, and let's read in verse 42. And it says, "But the poor widow came, and she put in 2 very small copper coins, worth only a few cents." You see, while all these people were coming by and they were giving tons of money and they were throwing it in and it would make a lot of noise, they were doing that not only to let people know they had a lot of money, but to let them know they were giving a lot of money and to try to impress people. But then, this little old widow, little old lady comes up. She walks up, and the Bible says she only had 2 little copper coins, right? And so she walks up and she puts her money in. Did you hear that? Let me try it again. She only had 2 little coins, right? No big deal. And she walks up, and she didn't throw it. The Bible didn't say she threw it in. She come up. And she walked out. It's a lot different than what the rich people do, the ones trying to impress their friends, isn't it? But you know what? That caught Jesus' eye, believe it or not. There was something about that. And listen, as a matter of fact, listen to what Jesus says in verse 43. It says, calling his disciples to him. In other words, Jesus saw this lady, and he didn't just sit there. He goes, guys, yeah, his disciples. Oh, guys, come here. He says, I want to show you something. He goes, truly I tell you. Now, in my Bible, it's an NIV version, and it says, truly I tell you. But if you were to look at a King James version of the Bible, you would see that it starts off with the word verily. It would say, verily I tell you. And any time the Bible and Jesus says verily, this means what he's saying to you is he's saying, listen, I'm telling you something that's really important. It's real important, and I want you to understand this and listen. So he calls his disciples together and he says, truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. Wait a minute. Now that's had to leave the disciples scratching their head a little bit, because all those other guys, they came up and they were giving handfuls of money, right? She just put in 2 little coins. Well, that brings us to our second point today. You see, giving isn't just about how much you give, but rather it's about how much of God's money that you keep. You see, Jesus explains this more in the next verse. In verse 44, he says, they gave out of their wealth, but she gave out of poverty, put everything in, all that she had to live on. You see, what Jesus is saying here is he's saying that the rich people, they gave more money. She only gave 2 little cents, but what she gave was much more generous. You see, that was all that she had. She might not eat that night. She definitely isn't going to go and buy some new clothes. But these other guys, they have a lot of money, and they go up. Now, if you've got thousands of dollars in the bank, and you go and you give $100, and you walk off, this widow came up with 2 cents and put them in there, and Jesus says that she gave more than they did. Because you see, even though they gave more money, they had more. It didn't mean as much to them. What she did is she gave something that cost her something. She gave until it hurt. And that brings us to our third point. It's not a matter of who gives the most. Rather, have we given generously? Now, I want to make one thing perfectly clear here. Jesus is not telling us that he wants us to give everything that we have away to people. That's not what he's saying. As a matter of fact, God makes it very clear that we're to give 10% of everything that we give, right off the top, right? Y'all remember the 10-10-80 rule? 10% to God, 10% to savings, 80% is to you. Now, if you think about that for a minute, that 10% that you put in savings, that's for you too. It's just for you later. So really, you get 90% of everything you make. God is so generous. He goes, keep 90%, save 10% of that for you, so you get, it'll be easier on you later. But he goes, the rest of that is yours. You only ask for 10%. That's being generous. Now, the people that were coming up with a lot of money, they may have given more, but they had so much more left, they weren't as generous as the little old widow who gave some. You see, God is generous with us so that we can be generous with others. In other words, God blesses us so that we can bless others. Amen. You know, the rich people in today's story were bringing the tithe for all the wrong reasons. They were doing it so that the others would see how much money that they had or how much money they were giving and trying to impress them. But the widow, on the other hand, now, she chose to trust God. She trusted God, and she gave because she knew that it all belonged to God anyway, right? But here's the thing. When she gave her last 2 cents, what she was doing is she was showing faith. She was being generous, and she's showing faith. She's saying, no, I have enough faith that I can give my last 2 cents because God is going to take care of me. Those other people may have given more money, but they still had a lot of money. They were still taking bags of money home with them, even though they gave a handful. This is mine. They're saying, I can take care of myself. But the widow says, God's going to take care of me. And Jesus noticed it. And 2,000 years later, we're still talking about that little widow that put 2 pennies into the offering. That was what caught Jesus' eye. The bottom line is this. Jesus is watching. He was sitting there at the temple watching what we were doing. Not just watching what we're giving, but watching what they weren't giving as well. So let's be generous in giving and generous in helping others. Let's pray. Father God, thank you so much for bringing us all here together today to hear your word. And we ask that you help to keep us strong and keep us on this road to financial freedom, to be able to teach these things to our friends and our neighbors. Lord, we ask that you watch over us and watch over those who weren't able to come here today as well. Lord, keep us strong and keep us coming back. We ask that you put a hedge of protection around everyone in this room as they go out into the mission field and into the real world. And the world is telling them to live one way, but God tells us to live another. And we're going to do that, Lord, because we have faith, because we trust you, we love you, because we know that what you give us, everything we have, it came from you, Lord. In the name of Jesus, we pray.